Invocation to the Lord. Dear Lord, allow my spirit to rise to your heights, to drink from the true fountains of wisdom, and absorb your powerful vibrations of love and faith, of purification and spiritual and material strength, of spiritual power, peace, understanding, health, prosperity, and harmony to pour over my brothers and sisters.
Lesson 23. Mediumship. True concept of mediumship. Mediumistic faculties. Highly elevated and powerful spiritual forces are reaching the earth, influencing the incarnated spirits, sensitizing them, and enabling them to manifest faculties that the spirit already possesses. This awakening of the spiritual powers, which is beginning to take place among humankind, makes it essential for everyone to know how to use them, what they mean, their possibilities, and their dangers. Mediumship is a faculty that we all possess. All humans, consciously or unconsciously, are mediums, and everyone can be, at some point, be used by unfamiliar forces, whether positive or negative. We can easily verify this if we analyze our reactions and many events in our life, which, after performing them, astonish us, because we have carried them out without the intervention of our will. These actions also do not constitute reactions from our subconscious. In other words, another will has driven and led us to that action. Mediumship is generally judged as something dangerous, as something to be hidden, and even as something fraudulent. For this reason, it is necessary to clarify the concepts of mediumship. True spiritual concepts, precisely because they are spiritual, escape our human control, and for their expression we often lack the appropriate words. Our languages have been created by humans as a means of expressing feelings, sensations, needs, or events, which are physically perceptible and easily human manifested events. This makes it necessary to adapt or create words that express the spiritual achievements. The word medium, in its Latin etymology, is equivalent to means. Therefore, it does not mean anything extraordinary, but rather something completely common and logical, means. Consequently, a small table used in the early days of Spiritism, the little basket and the pencil through which written messages were received, were all considered mediums. By extension, the term was later also applied to the individuals through whom Spiritist manifestations were obtained. These manifestations were extraordinary, and moreover, they conflicted with certain religious concepts. Thus, an atmosphere of obscurantism was created around these practices, these individuals, and the word medium. In reality, being a medium is nothing extraordinary, but rather something normal. It will gradually manifest clearly as spirits that incarnate on our planet are of greater evolution, capable of manifesting their own faculties more extensively through physical matter. Mediumship enables humankind to make contact with invisible planes. This does not mean that everyone who is a medium is connected with spiritual planes, that is, with higher planes. On the contrary, in the early days of mediumistic manifestations, the fear or curiosity that assailed the medium and those who surrounded them in those experiments could only attract, by law of affinity, lower spiritual beings. Their messages and manifestations produced much confusion. This created a strong aversion to these practices, and people distanced themselves from them because, in general, the obtained manifestations offered nothing worthy of consideration. On the contrary, given the possibility of such extraordinary communications with beings from the beyond, mediums were requested by those who wished to receive indications through mediums that would help them obtain profits and material achievements, almost always selfish, if not unspeakable. At the same time, the unbelievers, those unable to believe in anything that cannot be seen or touched, began to ridicule mediumistic practices because vanity leads people to reject as impossible what their minds cannot understand or explain. This created a negative atmosphere around the early mediums, which favored the approach of spiritual beings that produced negative mediumistic manifestations and provoked general rejection. Only after some time did some spiritually evolved individuals intuit that this form of spiritual expression had a higher purpose for humankind than the one previously assigned to it, and they decided to commit themselves to study it seriously. Groups of well-intended people, eager to receive messages of truth, were then formed. Messages were received by this means, announcing events that were to occur in the distant future and that represented a significant step in the path of progress for humankind. In these messages, it was warned that these practices should be taken seriously, with pure intentions and thoughts. By conducting the practices in this way, the messages started improving, except when some clouded minds interfered with their vibrations, preventing the elevated contacts. To obtain elevated contacts, small groups were formed, which allowed the harmonization of vibrations, thereby avoiding mental interfering in the messages. By following this path, we have reached this moment in which a large number of evolved beings that are currently incarnated allow the approach of higher vibrations and the transmission of wonderful messages that humankind needs to know. It is important and necessary to understand precisely what the mediumistic faculty represents. When a being wishes to manifest itself through a human instrument, a medium, if that being is elevated, it prepares the instrument in advance to avoid causing any inconvenience of a physical or psychic nature. The contact of the spiritual forces with our organism is through the nervous system, and to ensure that this contact can take place without harmful consequences to the physical body, the medium receives preparatory downloads of energies in specific nervous centers. The higher beings ensure that the body of the medium does not suffer in this contact with the intense higher vibrations, even though certain discomforts that are of no real importance are often unavoidable. In preparing them as instruments of good, the beings treat the mediums very delicately. The energy downloads are performed progressively and almost imperceptibly until the moment of manifestation. When the manifestation occurs, the more intense contact of these vibrations, which are foreign to the vibratory set of the medium, produces a physical and psychic reaction, sometimes somewhat unpleasant but always temporary. Depending on the sensitivity of the individual, it can be more or less intense, but it will never have harmful consequences. The initial manifestations produce an emotion that accentuates the nervous excitement caused by unfamiliar vibrations making contact with the nervous system of the medium. In the beginning, except for exceptional cases, mediumistic manifestations are not clear and precise and should not be considered as something perfect or definitive. The higher beings, when using a medium, start gently by giving small messages that serve as preparation for the actual work, because all of this has the purpose of using the medium for works of good, works that can have great projection in the present and the future. It is necessary to be prepared for these manifestations and not to receive them with fear. At first, perhaps there might be a lot of the medium's personality in them. In a spoken or written manifestation, you might find the exact expressions used by the medium when not in trance. You might find expressions which, while not typical expressions of the medium, are aligned with thoughts they might have had or suggestions they might have felt at moments close to the manifestation. This does not mean that the medium is influenced or that there is deception, but rather that the preparation of the medium is carried out gradually and progressively. Even before the moment of manifestation, the mind of the medium is prepared to receive certain ideas or concepts that shall be expressed. The higher purpose is to obtain instruments, channels, through which the higher vibrations can easily act in our world. For this purpose, it is necessary to eliminate from the centers through which the medium is used from the invisible planes everything that is related to our human self, including thoughts, ideas, and feelings. In addition to the vibrations of the medium, in some cases, there are vibrations from spiritual beings who have used the medium before. These vibrations must be eliminated so that the higher forces can use the instrument without interference. In early manifestations, it is common to find expressions or words that the medium uses. However, this does not imply deceit or influence. We must, in all cases, analyze the essence of the message, because what is important is the essence of the message received. The form is irrelevant. If the message is pure, if it speaks of love, faith, harmony, unity, forgiveness of offenses, rest assured that this is a good message. Messages that are apparently good can also be received, which speak of love, of unity, but lacking clarity, confusing messages that do not allow us to understand exactly the intended meaning. These messages are from deceptive beings who try to use phrases from higher beings to create confusion. The higher beings always speak in a clear and precise manner. Initially, the development of mediumship is like the opening of a book, where all the spiritual beings around us attempt to write. Consider that we live in this physical world surrounded by beings of the astral plane. Positive and negative beings dwell in this plane, as well as disembodied beings who are not yet aware of their state of disembodiment and still feel the same anxieties, desires, and passions that they had when they were human beings. Beings from our family who have already disembodied, still attached to us by affection or by our frequent evocative memory, also dwell in the astral plane. Any of these beings, when the medium is already able to receive messages, be it spoken, written, or heard, or by clairvoyance, try to use them to manifest themselves. Therefore, any message or manifestation that is received must always be perfectly analyzed. If, when requesting or receiving a message, there is even a spark of vanity, material interest, or selfish personal desire, the possibility of contact with higher planes will be removed, and by affinity, contacts with lower planes will be easily established. Then the messages that are received will be negative, even when the beings try to manifest themselves as positive.